Today we are here to meet Eddie Taylor. Eddie has been here about 3 months. He's our new director of facilities. He has a very interesting story to tell. He was born in Texas, but he has spent most of his adult life in Oklahoma, so he's ours. So let's hear all about Eddie and his life. Let's start with the childhood. Eddie, tell us about your childhood.
Well, thank you for letting me be here today. And the first thing that I wanted to say before we get started about my background and my history is, you know, it's a pleasure coming to a place that all the residents have welcomed me. It's been a blast so far. So I just want to thank you for what you do. And you really are the assets to Epworth. And so you make Epworth what it is. So with that, let's go into a little bit of my background. I was born in Lubbock, Texas, as mentioned before. I'm a Texas boy. Didn't live there too long. My dad was in the military, Air Force, and so we traveled quite a bit. We went to places such as Guam. I've been to Puerto Rico. I've been to Germany, so a few other places too, and been all over the United States as well. So the great thing about that is culture. I learned a lot about different cultures, and so I think that helps me with this job, with meeting different people and from different parts of the states, and I just love learning about people, so that's how I feel. Also, with my childhood, I have a brother. I have one brother, and his name is Roger. We grew up playing sports and those type of things, as most boys do. He ended up going into the Air Force, and then he got out of the Air Force and became a DEA agent. And so he's lived all over the world, from Peru to Japan, and doing his trade and so forth. So I'm really proud of our families and what we've done in the
And you went to your education continued here in Oklahoma, right? Would you tell us about that?
Yeah, I ended up, my dad retired from Tinker, and we went to school. I went to school at Putnam City West. I was there. I got a track scholarship to the University of OSU, Oklahoma State, and I met my wife there, fell in love. Stayed there for about 2 years, left school totally, got into the retail industry at that point for the next about 8 years. Worked for Dillard's department stores. Started out as a salesperson, worked up to as one of the managers there. So, and then we had kids. We started having kids. I have 5 kids altogether. 4 are mine, and 1 is adopted. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. My first child is an architect. His name is Nicholas. The next child is Jessie, and she is in a all-women's company that is in the oil business. Still going, still making it, barely. But the all women are doing well as far as the oil business goes. The next one is my daughter, Ashley, and she is, well, I call her my hippie child, to be honest with you. She's done everything. She's done films. She's done all this stuff. Now she's in med school at OSU in Tulsa. So we'll see how that goes for her. My next child is Sam. Sam owns his own business here in Edmond. He's kind of like his mom, which I'm talking more about the mom. I'm forgetting her. She's the most important person I have in my life. Anyway, so, and then the last child we have is Danielle. And Danielle is, we were lucky enough to, when she was 8 years old, to adopt her. She was a homeless child in the Oklahoma City area that we were participating with the church and stuff like this, and came across this family and her, and we were lucky enough to have her in our family now, so we're just pleased to have her. So 5 kids. Sometimes it's a mess around my house. They are all grown, so really just my wife and I. So let's drop back to my wife if I can. I married her, right in college. Needed a job. Didn't get to finish college the first time. So we had all these amazing kids. She got her degree as a dentist hygienist. But her family background comes from nursery, a plant nursery, tree nursery. They own one in Missouri, between Joplin and Springfield is where the place is located. And her dad is from England, so she does a lot of, she knows a lot about gardening and those type of things. So much so that she started her own business as at the age of 52. She started her business and it's done really well in it, and going really strong, and still going really strong. So,
Eddie, tell us about your work career too. I think it's very interesting, all the places you've been. Starting with OU, was it?
Yeah, I graduated. I ended up going back to school and graduating from OU, and then I was lucky enough and I got a teaching degree. So I taught at Norman Public Schools for about 9 years, and it was really good. I loved it. But I had an opportunity to get into property management, and I had 5 kids. Well, I didn't have quite 5 kids then. I only had 4 at that point. But I needed a little bit more money, so I got into property management and managed some other places in the Norman area and senior living. So we did some of that there, and then I moved to Edmond. As our kids got older, we wanted the school district in Edmond. We liked it. So we moved up here, and I took a job in a senior living here in Oklahoma City, and then I took one in Touchmark in Edmond, and now I'm here at this lovely place.
Great, that's wonderful. Listen, you told me about an airplane. Can you tell me about that airplane?
Well, I can. So when I was 49 years old, my son and I went together. And we actually bought, my oldest son, Nicholas, who's the architect, we bought a plane. It was cheaper to buy the plane and take lessons than it was to go through this whole school and rent the plane. So we did that, and really what we used it for is going and playing golf. It's one of my hobbies that I have. I'm not a good golfer though, guys. I'll be honest with you. But it's what I enjoy about golfing is getting out on the course and just looking at it. So. Yeah, it's a Cessna 172 for you pilots out there or plane people, and it is 1956.
That's great. You've taught often about, to me anyhow, about your greatest achievements in life. What are those?
Well, for me, it's always been my kids. One of the greatest achievements I have, my family life. We all have, our families are so special to us, and I know that everybody out there has their family special to them. But to me, I can truly say that, beyond a doubt, I'm so proud of my wife, I'm proud of my kids and what they've done, and now they have grandkids. So I'm just going to go ahead and mention a little bit about my grandkids, since I have a few, more than a few. So I have Wiley, I have Nora, I have Avon, I have Merritt, I have Claire, and I have Ayla. So I have a few grandkids, and so I'm real proud of them. 2 of my kids are not married, so there's the rest of them are.
Okay. You told me you had 2 great desires for the future. Could you share that with us?
Well, the biggest one and the first one is to honor God and always be, to grow every day in Him. And as long as I can keep growing in God, that is an ambition. I don't ever think that I can be perfect. I'll never be perfect, as we all know. No one will be, but that's one of them. And the other one, I'd like to retire in about 15 years to Grand Lake. Sorry, bosses. But that's what I'd like to do. May not happen, but it might. So Grand Lake would be a nice place, I think, to retire. My wife was, like I said, is kind of near that area, and she grew up in that area, and we've gone up there and done several things. And so Yeah, that would be nice. I'd take the beach as well, but Grand Lake would be my choice.
That's great. Anything else you want to add? We really appreciate this.
Well, you know, we have a big job. I have a big job here with Epworth, and I have a great crew, and from Rodney on down, and Sherry, those people. I know that, you know, they do a wonderful job, and I'm very lucky to have them. So, you know, thank you for allowing me to come into your home and to be a part of it. And if you ever have any questions or needs, just like that, don't hesitate to call me and reach out to me, and I'd love to help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eddie Taylor, for an interesting and inspiring story about your life. We're so happy to have you here at Epworth. Thank you very much for today.